much. We are tracking this. The Republican National Committee is standing by its loyalty pledge. Candidates who do not sign the agreement to support the party's eventual nominee will not be allowed to take part in the primary debates. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel says that the pledge is a no-brainer if the party wants to retake the White House next November. Not everyone is agreeing with this. So joining us now to parse this through, Julia Manchester from our partners at The Hill. Julia, good to see you. Help us understand, who are the main holdouts right now who indicate that they may have issues signing this pledge?
Yeah, good to see you, Natasha. Look, it's kind of hard to tell at this point. We know that Governor Ron DeSantis, for example, has said that he will trust the process in terms of whether he will eventually support the nominee. And we've had some other candidates really raise some questions with the idea of signing a loyalty pledge. But really, I think what you have the RNC trying to do here is trying to essentially keep the party unified ahead of what is likely to be a very divisive primary, a primary where you have a former president running, something you don't see every day, and you have a number of other contenders trying to chip away at that. So, it's definitely going to be difficult, I think, going forward for Republicans to sort of wrangle everyone together. But this is their idea of sort of trying to get themselves unified, ahead of what will likely be a very hard-fought primary.
Well, and let's talk about the front runner. I mean, any indication from former President Trump on whether he would sign a pledge like this, whether he will even be there at these first debates?
Well, that's a really good question, Natasha, because we don't actually know whether he's going to be at the debates. He said last week in an interview with Fox News, he didn't exactly say whether he would, to participate in the Republican debates, said he really wanted to debate Joe Biden. But I think, we've heard him and his allies sort of allude to the fact that he's the front runner, and for all intents and purposes, he's running as a bit of an incumbent. He's not an official incumbent, but he is the last sitting Republican president. So I think there might be a school of thought that would say if Trump didn't participate, he would be saying, I'm above this. I have the majority of support among Republican primary voters. Now, of course, there's another school of thought that would say that President Trump owes it to Republican primary voters to appear on stage with those other candidates. So unclear whether he'll actually appear, but I would imagine that there are candidates like Chris Christie, for example, who played Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Joe Biden in 2020 during debate prep for Donald Trump that would love to face off against him on a debate stage.
I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would. And I mean, doesn't traditional wisdom say that if he is such a front runner, if his polling is so far out in front right now, he has more to lose than he has to gain by showing up on a debate stage with these other potential candidates right now?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you contrast the image of President Trump with potentially younger, fresher faces in the Republican Party, like a Governor DeSantis or a Senator Tim Scott or an Ambassador Nikki Haley. The list goes on. And I think there is a concern that he could take some fire and some attacks from these other candidates. However, on the flip side of that argument, if you looked at the debates in 2015 and 2016, President Trump was at most of those debates, with the exception of one debate in Iowa right before the caucuses. And he sort of took a lot of fire from some candidates, but kind of let them duke it out with each other. And for that debate that he did skip in Iowa, he ended up holding a veterans fundraiser instead. He didn't win Iowa, but he went on to win the nomination as a whole. So I think there's some real questions as to, how important these primary debates are to those of us outside of politics and the media.
Yeah, I mean, with the time we have, I want to touch quickly on former Representative Hurd. So he is saying he will not support Trump. Would excluding him from these debates take away the opportunity for GOP voters to hear from all candidates? Is that sort of the conflict that we're seeing play out right now?
Potentially, and former Congressman Hurd would have to first qualify for these debates, get 1% polling in the number of polls he needs to report that 1% polling and get a certain number of donors. It's unclear whether Congressman Hurd will be able to do that, and some of these lesser-known candidates, if they will be able to do that. But look, I think there are definitely anti-Trump Republicans who would say there absolutely should be a space for on the stage for someone like a Will Hurd or someone even like a Chris Christie, who is polling better than Will Hurd, or is known much more nationally than Will Hurd. So I think you're going to hear that argument from Republicans saying, well, we can't just be the party of Trump. We are the Republican Party.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.